Room 237 is a Jumperscape audio production. Ah, stranger, we've missed you. Join us in Room 237.
Do you know it's actually Kiki Mama? Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Hello and welcome to Room 237 once again. We got some little helpful hints in the beginning there of what we're covering today, but it's another classic. It's another classic. I am, of course, James. I'm here once again.
And it's me, Ashton.
But what did we watch today? It's in the title and everyone already knows, but what did we watch today?
So today we watched Friday the 13th.
Ooh. Before we get into that, though, did you know people can chat with us
Oh my God, really?
all the time if they like?
For real?
Yeah.
You're being so for real right
Yeah, on discord.gg/Jumperscape, so please jump in today. There's my plug of the evening. And
Oh
of
my
course,
God, that's
if you'd
so
like
convenient.
if you'd like to see this show grow, see more stuff happen, see us get to do things, get to make better content for you, you can also support us on patreon.com/Jumperscape. Yeah, there's my plugs of the evening. So Friday the 13th. I don't really like it that much. This will be my first controversy.
Ooh.
It's directed by Sean S. Cunningham. It came out in 1980.
On the dot.
It shows.
It do show.
Not in the fun way, in my opinion. This movie is an interesting piece for me because I know it's important, and I do think that the vibe of the movie is actually pretty good. It's just for me, upon a couple rewatches now, a tad boring. That might sound harsh. I don't know if you agree because this was your first time seeing it.
I wasn't bored. I have been bored, but I wasn't bored with this one.
That's fair. Maybe it is just a movie that doesn't hold up on a rewatch, and that's part of the problem. But out of the big slasher kings, Friday the 13th, not just this movie, but as a series, has always been kind of low on my list of opinions, but shoot me if you have to.
I'm sorry, what?
That's just how I feel. But with that out of the way, we'll just kind of go through the movie here. We get a really poorly lit cold open.
Very poorly lit. Very, very poorly lit.
But it does kind of set the tone. You see Camp Crystal Lake while it's still open. There's a nice little Kumbaya fire singing session going on. It's not actually Kumbaya, but it's the same concept.
Yeah, and then I'm left to wonder if all summer camps are just like a smidge Christian, because I don't think I've ever heard non-Christian like summer camp songs.
Did you never do the Taco Bell thing?
Taco Bell?
When I went to 6th grade camp, there was this really hyped up
camp.
There's this really hyped up, like, scrawny weirdo who just led us in this weird Taco Bell song. He just like went down. He go, "You all repeat after me, okay? Taco Bell, Taco Bell," and everyone would go, "Taco Bell, Taco Bell," and you'd be like, "Guacamole, cinnamon twist."
Oh my God.
Guacamole, cinnamon twist.
Wait. Where did you do your 6th grade?
I just docked myself. I'm hitting M.
Sorry. Oh, ours was at but Was it through the
Austin, we are doxing ourselves. Please go through and censor these.
sorry. Was it through the FAA?
No, I don't
Oh.
think so. But I know sixth grade camp is a thing
No,
in this country.
I'm
and I
just
didn't
trying to
know.
identify if it's like the same counselor.
No, it's through YMCA.
Yours is through IMCA, but ours was through FAA.
What's the What's the FAA?
It's the Farmers Association.
Oh, I'm stupid. I mean, maybe it was also through the FAA, but I loved sixth grade camp. It's the only camp I got to go to. That's the thing.
See, I went to a Lutheran church camp, like from the age of like 9 until right before I went to middle school. And then it closed.
See, camp is one of those things
and I did Girl Scout camp.
Camp's one of those things that is a hole in my childhood. It's a thing that a lot of kids got to do that I never got to do. So my one experience doing it being sixth grade camp, which was 3 days in November and it was like freezing,
Mm-hmm.
is actually a fond memory for me. Like weirdly enough, like because it's as close as I got to like the true camp experience. I never went to summer camp. I never went to church camp. I never did any of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I was a shy kid, and I didn't have any friends at church or anywhere
Well,
I
I
would have
didn't
gone
go-
to camp with.
I didn't do it. Wasn't through my church. It was a place my mom went to camp when she was a kid.
Yeah,
So all the kids were from like an hour away from me. None of them, I didn't know any of them. It's not like I went with friends or anything.
yeah, but that I'm saying that kept me from doing it when I was a kid
Oh,
because I
okay.
wanted to. If I wanted to camp, I wanted to go camping with my friends, and I just never had that opportunity. But I did for sixth grade camp because all my friends went to school with me. So
Oh, I got bullied like crazy during sixth grade camp. So
I am sorry that we did not have the same
it
experience.
also gave me a fungus. So
Oh my lord.
yeah. I couldn't dance for a minute there, but it's fine.
Well, anyway, this movie knows what camp is like because it does make me like think about those memories, the small amount of memories in terms of like the aesthetics.
Oh yeah, because like they're singing. So in this open, they're singing. Oh, they weren't singing "Kumbaya" when we first opened. They were singing something else. They were singing "Down in the Valley," which is not exactly technically Christian, but it's Christian. And then
Like
they were
Skillet.
singing. Huh?
Like Skillet, the band. Or are they more overtly Christian than I know?
I don't know.
I don't know. Moving on.
I don't know who Skillet is.
Okay, Ashton doesn't know who Skillet is.
But then they sang Michael row the boat ashore. So I'm sitting there going, oh, I sang these at summer camp, and immediately am brought back to we used to sing. Do you know the like Christian song Sanctuary?
How's it go?
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary.
I think so. The
Yeah.
musical stylings of Ashton only here on Room 2.
But when I was at camp, it always made me sob. I don't know why. I would just start crying, and that's why I turned to you, because it was like this, like all these weird camp experiences. I went to church camp as a kid, then I did camp I did sixth grade camp, I did Girl Scout camp, and I did camp through my church. And in every one of those instances, other than sixth grade camp was freaking weird. They have like these, like, you sit together in front of a fire or something, and you're all sitting there and you're all singing, and they're like, let the Lord move through you. And every single time I cried and fell for it. And this is why Ashton would be in a cult. This is why Ashton would totally be in a cult and totally fall for it every single time.
What we've discovered in our time doing this show is Ashton has sympathized with almost every cult that we've run into.
That's so true. Oh no. I have empathy.
Little does she know she joined the cult of Jumperscape, but she'll be okay.
Oh, is that what is that why we have to bring a whole bunch of Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You thought it was normal when we sacrificed the goat?
Oh, that was a real goat?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were just playing a game or something.
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's too late now. You've already given your soul to the moon god. So
darn it. This is what I'm saying. By the way, guys, that is just a joke just to cover our butts here.
Well, we only did this in Minecraft, okay? But speaking of Christian,
back to the movie.
Speaking of the movie and being Christian, we see the hallmark of any wholesome Christian teenager activity. 2 of them going off to have sex.
No, it is a hallmark.
Yeah.
Fun fact, is a hallmark.
That wasn't a joke.
No, it sounded kind of like a joke, so I wanted to clarify to everybody because I've been in basically every Christian scenario you possibly could be in, except no, I did go to Catholic church once. There is always a place people go to have sex in every single time.
You heard it here first.
Every church has a sex closet, guys. It's just true.
And then we get our first discount Halloween moment where we go through the POV of an unknown stalker, essentially, coming up on them, boinking.
Which I have to say, unlike Nightmare, they make real sex noises.
How about that? You heard it here.
No, Nightmare, they were like, "Oh, Johnny Depp." I forget everyone's name in Nightmare all of a sudden. But it was like, I was
like, don't make sex sounds, please.
I'm not gonna do it. But the small giggles, I was like, oh, this is real. This feels realistic.
You heard it here first. They were actually doing it on set. According to Ashton.
I didn't say that. I just
Even
said
though they had all their clothes on.
I was just saying they were making more accurate sex noises, all right? Okay? It didn't pull me out of the moment like it did in Nightmare on Elm Street, where I was like, wow.
Johnny Depp.
Where I was like, that's not how people sound when they're having sex.
Oh my God. So the killer kills them, and that is done in the most discount Halloween kind of fashion possible.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every time the killer is doing stuff, they're off camera or you're on their POV, and it's kind of cool in the cold open. There is because they have the moment where the killer kills the dude and starts boxing out it's kind of messed up, but you just see the girl's panicked face
no, I was impressed by this.
Back up and get around, and I was like, oh, this is actually scary. This feels kind of real.
She throws boxes at him. I was like, oh, this is man, maybe I didn't know what I was getting into. This is kind of real here. Let's go.
Yeah, it's the only moment that's kind of like that.
Yeah.
There's some later, but yeah, it's not the same.
No.
The cold open's really good, even though it's terribly lit.
Well, yeah, because then the killer gets to her and kills her, and it zooms in on her face while she's screaming, and you can't even make out her face.
It's
so why
spooky.
was it zooming in? I was like, oh great, I couldn't see any of that.
But then we get one of the coolest title cards. Most iconic title cards in horror movie history.
Very iconic.
With the Friday the 13th logo careening at the camera and breaking the screen, essentially.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
It's cool. It's neat. I like it.
It's dated, but it's cool.
And I'm going to be honest, outside of a few things later, I think this is where my enjoyment ends. There's a couple things that I'm going to point out that I love, but oh man, I hope people don't get mad at me for my takes on this movie. It's not very good.
That's what this is for, James.
That is true.
It's to start discussion.
But first off, shout out Tom Savini. He did the makeup effects, and he's incredible and extremely important. And I saw his name, and I forgot he worked on this movie, and I was like, hell yeah. Because that's one of the positives is the practical effects in this movie for the budget they had are really cool.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good.
But we meet our like fifth fake final girl that we've had to deal with already. Who, wow, she's a peach, but she's extremely naive. I forgot her name.
God, yeah, I also forgot her name. I don't
know how important.
I think
Annie.
she says it one time. Yeah, Annie,
which is just the most
cook.
Naive, sweet teenage girl name in the 80s possible. And
did she tell him the sun was going to come out tomorrow?
Something like that. But she's going around town, you know, asking everyone, "Where's Camp Crystal Lake? I'm trying to get to Camp Crystal Lake," and everyone's like, Camp Blood, which is like the laziest, scary name this town could have come up with.
I would have, you know what though? I would have called it Camp Murder first.
That's true. It's not the most generic, but it's up there.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
It's pretty damn close. But yeah, so they're like, "You want to find Camp Blood?" And this is where we get to meet Ralph, the best character in the movie for the first time. He is my favorite harbinger in movie history.
Oh my goodness.
And so he's just this town drunk, and he's just like, "Oh, it's got a death curse. You can't
and he's
go
so
there."
goofy looking.
He just like gets on his bike and like poorly pedals away. He's like wobbling around, like he can barely control it. And I love Ralph, and we have to protect him at all costs.
Okay.
I think he dies later in the series.
Oh.
But I can't be certain because I've only seen all of these movies at least once, except for like maybe a couple of them, like a small handful, because there's some I just had no interest in watching. But he's the best character. I know everyone's going to say Tommy Doyle, but he's not even in this movie. Tommy Doyle, that's the wrong person. Tommy Jarvis. There's two Tommies. That's Halloween.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, I recognize that name, so that doesn't check.
Yeah. Whoopsie. Played by Corey Feldman. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so she walked into this, like, I can't really tell. I think it's like sort of like a diner, but it's also a convenience store, and that's where she asks, like, how far to Crystal Lake, and they're like 20 miles to the blood camp. And she's like, "Oh, is there a bus I could take or something?" And they're like, "No." And the chick behind the counter is like, "Hey, you, aren't you dry? Don't you have to go to the crossroads anyway? Like, just take her half the way." And she takes this, and this goes on my list for just take a ride from a man I've barely even spoken to. Because then he says, "Well, I hope all the girls there are just as pretty as you are," and then proceeds to touch her butt when he has to help her into the truck. And I'm like, there are better ways to do that.
There are better ways to do that, but I'm going to vouch that I think he was only a regular amount of creepy dude. He was still like
only the regular amount.
Yeah. He still was just like, you should quit. Like, he was trying to tell her, like, warn her, don't work there. Just leave, go home.
That's true.
And he did just give her a ride, at least at the end of the day.
Yeah. But I wouldn't do it. Okay, I wouldn't do it.
No. Still, don't get into a car with any stranger ever.
Mhm.
That's dumb. That's stupid.
And when they start doing things like saying,
You who's listening right now and you're hitchhiking and you got your earbuds in, get out. They have a knife.
they probably do, honestly. Like, please. And especially if they're like, oh, I hope everyone at the camp is as pretty as you are. That's a red flag. All right. I didn't see her mace on her.
And the thing is, I think that was the point. I think this is the 80s that they could have just thought that's normal.
That's true. Because I did get thrown off with how comfortable she was with him still, because I would have been like, anyway, I'm gonna see if a lady can give me a ride instead, but whatever. But yeah, so they start on their journey on the way to camp, and he warns her to quit and tells her to get out of there. And so then we get to meet a couple more of our main characters here.
We got Kevin Bacon and the other ones.
Yeah. Wait, one of them, I feel like I remember one of her. I don't know. Never mind.
They have names.
But
it's a Friday the 13th movie. So it's, if you know, you know.
Like, you don't realize you know their names until they're sitting there playing naked, or what was it, strip Monopoly, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's who that person is.
But yeah, they're driving. They're also counselors, and they have a car, so they're just driving there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're listening to like this really weird banjo music.
Yeah.
And like their dialogue is very slasher movie teenager, like, oh, do you ever not think about sex? He's like, sometimes. Kevin Bacon's like, sometimes I think about just kissing. And it's like, who talks like this?
Obviously teenagers in the 80s.
I mean, I'd have to like ask
Obviously
my dad.
Kevin Bacon. Actually, let's call him up right now. I'm kidding.
Kevin Bacon, welcome to the show. How was Footloose? Did you have a good time?
I specifically want to ask you questions about that Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Was that a good time as well?
Seemed like a good time.
But so
yeah, they make it to camp. And we also get to meet Alice,
who's suffering from mad Mark Hamill haircut syndrome.
Yeah. And when they get there, this is when I noticed that the chick who is in the car is wearing just like pumps. She's not like stilettos. She's not like wearing, but she's wearing like heels, like open-toed heels. And I'm like, you're coming to be a counselor at summer camp. Why are you wearing heels? For what reason?
To feel taller. That's all I can come up with.
At least just wear platforms. Like just that way you can feel taller and your toes are safe and you're not going to get your like heel stuck in the mud or something.
It's a shame they didn't use that.
The heels.
They could have had her heels get stuck in the meal. Her what? Her heels get stuck in the mud.
The heels in this movie really bothered me, so you're gonna hear about it a couple times. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh boy.
And it went on my list. I would not wear heels to freaking summer camp.
We also meet Mr. Christie.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Who just looks like the incestuous child of Kip and Napoleon Dynamite. He's
wearing like Santa Claus socks and ripped instead of like actual jean shorts that he cut himself.
To be fair, those are actual jorts.
Oh, really?
It started by just cutting your jeans. They didn't make jorts until after.
Okay. Still, they're cut fairly short. And
you think I couldn't rock those?
You definitely could rock those. But,
okay.
But the point is, why are you wearing like these heavy, they're literally Santa Claus socks. I'm saying they're red and white and they're like woolly. And I'm sitting here thinking, all right, so the heavy socks, some jorts, and no other clothes at all, my dude.
Me and Ashton do not communicate during the duration of this film. Any film we watch, I did not know how much of an issue she had with the fashion in this movie until right now.
I don't know why it got my
I guess
eye.
she turned into the fashion police, and I just didn't know. But I'm here for it.
I mean, honey, put on some clothes.
It's hot out.
Okay, then take off the wool socks. I don't know.
It's hot out, and they're doing work. Alice is hammering nails really terribly.
Putting them in her mouth,
She's
trying to get herself sick.
She's like dead wrist, like clanking the hammer into the side of the roof.
It's because she can't. I guess she could have held it sideways, but it's because she
just
can't fit the head of the hammer in because it's a gutter. So like,
It just looked funny. Is all
I
I'm
know
saying.
I know it looks funny, but I got you, Alice.
You just adjust your body position.
I know what she was doing. Okay, I get it. Sometimes you just got to get shit done.
Well, yeah, it's pretty intense. But see, this movie kind of is almost a slow burn because we spend a lot of time just watching these teenagers dick around.
Mm-hmm.
And they do stuff like shoot arrows really close to each other's face. Really offensively pretend to be Native American.
Yeah, that was a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little dated. You could take it as it's supposed to be wrong.
I mean, yeah. I took
Do I
it
think
that
when
way.
the movie was made that they thought it was that wrong?
Some people did.
I don't know. I don't
Some
think
people
so.
did. Sorry, random history fact here. The Native or it was called Indian American at that time, but the Native American civil rights movement started like in the late 60s. It didn't catch on as much as the civil rights movement. But yeah, so people were aware that stuff was wrong in the 80s.
But not as much.
But not as much. Not as much as we understand it now. But they were aware of it.
The kind of American pop culture vision of like Indians was still very much alive, like Wild West cowboys and Indians kind of deal.
Yeah.
And that's why I get the vibe that it was just like meant to be a goof. Which it is, but it's like now it's like a ooh. Like
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this movie would have cared either way.
No, nigga, don't get me wrong. See, here's the thing. I don't care. In the moment, it is like, ooh. But I'm like, this movie came out in the 80s. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Like,
so they do things like that.
I hate to use the it's a different time excuse, but it literally it was.
I don't think this movie cares either way.
Exactly.
But so yeah, they also go to set up the dock on the lake and go for a little swim. This is where I think Ned was the one who got pushed in the water, and then he pretends to drown.
He pretends to drown.
He pretends to drown and scares the living heck out of everybody. They're all racing to go get him, and he plays pretty dead. He plays dead pretty
Bro
good.
is not breathing on purpose.
Bro, yeah.
All of this just to steal a kiss when they did mouth to mouth.
Yes. That's extreme, my man.
See, here's how
you're in some woods. Go touch some grass.
Here's how you get back at him if you think he's messing around. You just tell Kevin Bacon to do the mouth to mouth. Now he's not going to get what he wants.
Are we sure about that?
You know?
Because then he'd slip some tongue in there on purpose just to freak Kevin Bacon out.
There was
he is in a win-win situation here.
You know, look at you.
But
you're theorizing.
I am. But yeah, Ned,
in a movie that does not have a lot of theorizing to be had.
Ned,
except for like maybe the end.
Ned, go touch some grass, my man. Go touch some grass. I mean, everyone in this movie needs to touch some grass. This movie is so horny.
Yeah, that's a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. because sex sold hard in the 80s, especially in horror movies. The Friday the 13th movies, essentially what Jason ends up being is a force of nature.
Is he the sex police?
Yeah.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
He becomes the sex police.
He essentially is the sex police. Because
all right, Jason.
The motivation is he died because his counselors were too busy fucking.
All right, Jason, we're going to have a talk here about...
He also had mommy issues, so the counselor killed his mom.
So, Jason, we got to be more sex affirmative, okay? You got to be more... You got to, I can't keep up this joke. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
If Jason were actually here, I think you'd probably be dead already.
Yeah. No, I would be. I definitely would be.
That'd be a great gag if the rights for this franchise ever get figured out, because it's between like 7 million companies right now, and they are all arguing with each other. That's why the Friday the 13th game is not able to be purchased anymore.
Oof.
Yeah. But in a future Friday the 13th movie, can we have a scene where like some like obnoxious hippie types like, if you got an issue with sex, man, you just gotta work that stuff out. And then just like
that'd be so funny.
Ashton, you could play her.
That was mean. Did you just call me an obnoxious hippie type?
No.
Yes, you did. That's what you just did.
I said you could play one. You're a good actress.
That's what you're saying. Fine.
Jeez, now I'm in trouble.
Yep. Just walked yourself right into that one.
It's okay. She'll forget it in 20 minutes.
Will I?
Well, now that I said that, maybe not.
But yeah, so they're all busy messing around, and we learn that, what was his name? Peter. Yeah, what's his name? Peter.
Sorry, our snap streak has an hourglass. I had to fix it.
Oh no, his name was Peter, right?
I don't know.
Christy.
Which one?
Christy.
The guy.
Oh,
Peter Christie.
Yeah.
I just call him Mr. Christie because I forget his first name.
He left, so he's leaving to get some supplies, and all the counselors are at the camp alone with no adult supervision. Although, how much of an adult is he? Because he was hitting on.
My guess is he's like 20.
He was hitting on Alice pretty hard.
My guess is he's not that old. He's probably like 20, early to mid 20s.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because so he leaves, and they're at the camp alone. That's when all the shenanigans is going on. And we get to cut back to Annie, who's making her way to camp and sees a Jeep drive by, and she holds out her thumb to hitchhike, which also makes my lip. Don't hitchhike.
Just don't hitchhike.
Don't hitchhike.
It's that simple. But hey, guess what happens? She hitchhikes.
Yeah. Yeah. And as soon as I'm not seeing who is driving the car, I'm like, oh, great. All right, Annie, welcome to the kill count.
You see, okay, we were trying to keep it a mystery, but I'm not. Because I peeked over at your notes, and it made me laugh that you're like, he drives a Jeep Wrangler? And I'm like thinking, oh, she doesn't know.
That is what I said, yes.
Like, she thinks Jason Voorhees in his hockey mask is driving the Jeep Wrangler.
That is what I'm thinking. I'm going, what the hell?
This movie, the killer is not Jason Voorhees in this movie. This is relatively common horror trivia. That's why I thought you would have known from cultural osmosis.
No, I actually have kind of somehow avoided everything Friday the 13th.
That's completely valid.
Like, I've seen Texas Chainsaw stuff. Before I watched Texas Chainsaw, I'd seen Texas Chainsaw stuff. I'd seen Halloween stuff. I'd seen Psycho stuff. But I had somehow completely avoided Friday the 13th. I think it's because I heard all the, like, bad jokes about it. And then I was like, I don't need to watch this kill count. I'll watch, a Saw kill count. I'll watch that instead. That sounds good.
And also, Friday the 13th was the first series that the kill count covered. So it's a bit weaker in terms of his quality. I don't remember if he did recounts or not for that series. I think he did.
I don't know. I just know I never watched. I think I heard too many Robot Jason jokes to.
Jason X rules, actually. It's one of my favorites that I've seen. Because I think Friday the 13th is at its best when it's at its goofiest and at its most over the top.
At its most camp?
Yeah. Funny, right? Camp. Like camp.
It's camp,
Crystal
but it's
Lake.
at a camp. Isn't that hilarious? But anyway.
Oh my God.
Alice gets in the Jeep Wrangler and the Jeep Wrangler drives straight past the entrance to Camp Crystal
Annie.
Lake. Oh, what did I say?
Alice.
Oh, I meant to say Annie. Why do you have two main characters with an A name? God. That's so annoying. Anyway, so she's like, you missed the entrance. Why are we going so fast? Hey, stop. Turn around. Hey. And then she jumps herself out of that Jeep Wrangler. And we see the Jeep back up. And she runs into the woods and she's getting chased by the killer. And she does no evasive maneuvers whatsoever. She just keeps like hobbling herself through the woods. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking it's Jason. I'm like, oh, he lives in these woods. So this is stupid. She's gonna die. She has nowhere to hide. This guy knows this place. And of course, I'm just like consistently waiting. It's actually kind of a randomly long and boring chase scene. Because she's just kind of running and you see the killer's perspective like once or twice and you're like, oh, they're not even like catching up to her. What's going on? And I'm just like waiting for them to corner her somewhere and it's just not happening. And I just started being like, oh, and Annie's dead.
And she's dead. She just like trips in front of the killer's feet. I'm not sure if I said it's not Jason, but okay, it's Jason's mom.
Jason's mother.
Jason's mother. Oh God.
Proud of myself for that one.
You only ever see her like legs or like her arm in the movie until like the very end because it's like the twist. But it's like once she's presented in full body, you're like, oh, that's the killer.
Yeah. And you know what? I did have a fleeting thought. So after Annie trips in front of the shoes and gets killed, we see the killer spying on all the kids as they're swimming in the lake. And it looked like a woman's hand. And I was like, I knew his mom had something to do with it. Maybe she's like helping or something. Or maybe she's trying to warn them. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm looking too far into it because maybe the film was too low budget and they just had to use whoever's hand. Like, you know.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Like
so I just kind of
Deborah
stopped thinking.
Deborah Hill in Halloween played young Michael Myers' hands in the beginning of that movie.
Oh.
So it's possible.
It's entirely possible.
But my favorite bit is one of the brown-haired teenagers. he died. He dies soon after.
Yeah, you're talking about Ned.
No, it's not Ned.
Not Ned?
Doesn't Ned die on the top bunk? Isn't he the one on the top bunk later?
Yeah, but I thought he was the first of all of them to get killed.
Yeah, he's just dead in a cabin somewhere.
Yeah. Because he sees the killer go into a cabin, and that's immediately when I wrote down, damn, not Ned.
Oh yeah, I'm all off base.
You're good. You're good. We mixed stuff up a little bit, but yeah, like everyone starts kind of separating off after they go to make hamburgers.
Wait, don't forget the police officer.
Oh, right.
Who comes and he's like, have y'all seen a man named Ralph? And this is when I get pumped because that means Ralph's coming back.
I forgot about Ralph.
And like, this cop is really weird. I can't even really put it into words. You just have to watch the movie. This is one of the weirdest movie cops I've ever seen.
It's so weird.
But he's like, oh, if you see anything, you let us know. And they just find him in the pantry.
Yeah. Also, can we just say the guy that they had playing the cop, I don't think had ever touched a motorcycle before. He goes to turn around. He does a terrible job turning around. And then he goes to drive the motorcycle up the hill. And he's just kind of like really trying to get the bike to go up. Like he's struggling with that motorcycle. I'm like, oh, he's never touched a motorcycle before.
But they find Ralph in the pantry and he starts doing his stuff, doomed. You've doomed yourselves. Leave now. And like he leaves. And what is the other brown-haired kid's name? That's not Kevin Bacon. The one. The one who lasts the longest out of the dudes.
Oh, Bill?
Bill.
You're talking about Bill?
Yeah. Bill just goes, I think we found Ralph.
Bill slays.
But Ralph goes up to his bike and takes one last look and he says the iconic, "You're doomed. You're all doomed." And then shittily rides away on his bike again, all wobbly, like he can't control a fucking bike. I get it. He's the town drunk, and that's probably why. But I love him so much.
So funny. So yeah, after all of that, they go to make some hamburgers, and everyone's like, "Wow, where'd that cook girl go?" Like, not where'd she go? When is she gonna get here? We want somebody to make food for us.
Yeah, our food that we make sucks.
Yeah. So it seems like they're all going their own ways to eat and hang out. And so Ned is walking along and he sees somebody come out of a cabin and he goes, Hey. And yeah, like I said, this is where I write down, damn, not Ned. Because he walks into the cabin and
we don't even see what happened to him.
I don't even think we see.
We just see his body later.
Yeah.
But he dead.
I knew.
And this is where you kind of get. This is where it gets steamy.
It's been steamy the whole time, my dude.
Kevin Bacon and the other girl. I'm sorry. I'm not good with the names of the characters in this movie. Marcy and
Jack, because they keep saying Marcy and Jack
Kevin
over
Bacon.
and over again.
It's Kevin Bacon and Marcy.
Okay. Kevin Bacon and Marcy.
They get all steamy.
Yeah.
Then they make love, which angers Mrs. Voorhees, apparently.
Yeah.
And little do they know, they're in the same bunk that Ned's dead corpse is in at the moment.
Yeah.
But they don't know that, and they never know that, to be fair. Because, as one knows, after a nice steamy sesh, Marcy has to pee.
Yeah.
So she leaves.
Ladies, always pee after sex. Good job, Marcy. I know it got you killed. Good job, Marcy.
You heard it here first. But we get probably the most iconic kill of the movie here. And that's where a hand comes out from under the bed and grabs Kevin Bacon's forehead, and an arrow comes up through the bed, through his neck.
Oh, that was actually kind of cool. I actually liked that.
I know I knew how they did this effect, but I don't remember. Oh, wait. I think it's pretty much as simple as prosthetic neck, and then they had his head coming through the mattress.
That checks.
I'm pretty sure that's how they did it.
That checks.
If I'm wrong, Mr. Savini, I'm sorry.
And I wrote, R.I.P. Kevin Bacon. At least he went out with a bang.
And I just wrote R.I.P. Footloose. But here's where my notes start to die, because the movie kind of just treads water from here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we get more kills happening, but it's just kind of dark. You can't see much, and everyone's making really stupid decisions.
Yeah, it's basically just like toddling along. Oh, a kill, and then a kill. Like it's just trying to get through the rest of the group being dead, basically, from here on out. And so we follow Marcy into the bathroom, and she thinks she hears something. She calls out just genuinely anybody's name. She goes through the whole list of all of them.
Must have been my imagination, she says.
Yeah. She goes and she checks the showers. And she goes, what did she say? It wasn't right. It was Ollie Ollie.
Oh, yeah. She went Ollie Ollie in free.
Yeah, which is not correct. It's Ollie Ollie oxen free, right?
Maybe it's regional. I don't know. Maybe we're going to learn something.
Yeah, maybe we will. But that threw me off because it was wrong. And then she's like, oh, there's no one here. It's just my imagination, as we see the shadow of an axe coming up.
And she turns around and just kind of screams and like lets herself get hit by the axe.
Yeah, she totally just stood there and took it. Like she had like a good.
She probably
30
thought
seconds
the axe
to try
must
to
have been
run.
imaginary.
I guess so. It's just her imagination, I guess.
But juxtaposed to this is a strip monopoly is happening.
Which sounds like a fucking fun game, actually.
No, could be fun. Could be fun. Hop into the Jumperscape Discord. We will play strip monopoly with everybody.
No. I am putting this. No, we're not playing strip
Maybe
Monopoly.
regular Monopoly.
Yeah, you just want to beat more people at Monopoly, don't you?
Yes, I do. For reference, please check the Library Halo Lorecast Monopoly special.
What's your record again, James?
I think, because I forget the totals, since I started keeping track, 15-1.
Yeah, so you get to decide from here, guys, if you want to play Monopoly with James.
I say that's a challenge out to anybody who wants to play Monopoly with me. Because they're going to hear that and they're going to be like, I can beat him. And you might, because Monopoly is 90% luck. I'm not going to lie. It's literally dice rolling.
Yep.
But there's also decision making that goes with it.
Yeah.
So that's the important part.
Mm-hmm.
And being the devil when it comes to trading. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there on that Monopoly board, okay?
But yeah, they're playing some strip Monopoly. They're getting into it. And one of them, the one that's not Alice, is
kind of
completely derobed at this point. Almost. She still has a bra and panties on.
And conveniently, right as Alice is going to have to take her shirt off, the door blows open because it's raining.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, this is our cue to wrap up. Let's all go in the rain.
Yeah, well, because the other girl goes, oh shit, I left the windows of my cabin open.
At that point, it's like, okay, it's too late. Just stay here.
Yeah, like do you want to sleep in a wet bed? Just like stay here, sleep here tonight. Like
whatever. Big deal.
So she leaves, leaving Bill and Alice to kind of just hang out. And she heads to the same bathroom as Marcy did. And
uses it just fine.
Yeah, actually. She kind of looks around a little bit. I'm like, oh, is she going to find dead Marcy? She's not find dead Marcy.
Nope. She she took a shower and changed into her weird 1800s like honk schnoo pajamas. And this whole sequence, like I said, the whole like killer sequence in this movie, because they don't show the killer, is kind of pulling teeth for me, because there's not a lot to scare me. Because we're talking about a human killer. So hiding their appearance doesn't have the same effect as like when it's like a creature or a monster.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm just like, okay, so they don't want me to see who the person is.
Right.
But I forget what even beckoned her outside, but she goes back outside.
To the archery range.
To the archery range. And the lights turn on, she screams, and we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's frustrating in this movie, is there's a lot of off-screen kills. Like half the kills are off-screen.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It's really odd.
It's probably budget, is the thing.
Yeah.
But
I think we're supposed to assume, because we've been seeing a lot of arrows. They were at the archery range. She probably got shot with an arrow.
Yeah. But still.
I think we're supposed to assume that's what happened. And they were like, that's not as cool as the rest of the kills.
And she's the one who almost got shot in the head by Dickhead, right?
Yeah, so that would have been like really,
Ned.
Yeah, that would have been like really cool and like a good, like, you know, come full circle moment. But
and
you know,
so I guess in a way they kind of did that. You just didn't get to see it.
Maybe they filmed it and it looked like crap.
Well, the thing that's confusing is when we see her body later, there's no arrows in it. It's like tied up in a rope and dirty.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's like, oh, there she is. She's dead.
That's right. It was really weird.
It's Bill who goes to turn the generator back on, and next we see him is riddled with arrows pinned up to a doorway.
Yeah, that's weird.
How did Pam have time to do that?
Don't ask me.
It's kind of funny because throughout this whole sequence, she seems like the most like competent assassin that this camp has ever seen.
Right.
But as Alice is discovering the bodies and seeing, oh no, my friends are all dead, Pam just reveals herself. She's like, oh, I'm Mrs. Voorhees. I work with the Christies. And this whole sequence is a little tense because she's getting more and more unhinged, and she's just like, this is where you get your motivation, people. She said, this place is cursed. They should never reopen this place. Did you hear about that boy who drowned in 57?
And I'm going,
such a sweet boy. Like,
I'm going, oh yeah, the one who's your son? The one who's your son?
It was Jason, and she blamed the counselors and killed those counselors the year after, which is what we saw in the cold open. Whoa. There's the motivation. She doesn't want the camp to open because it killed her son. She holds a grudge against teenagers having premarital sex.
What a weirdo.
Yeah. She's literally a murderer. That's kind of a murderer. That's kind of an understatement. Could you imagine looking at like John Wayne Gacy and being like, dude, you're like weird. It's kind of an understatement.
I mean, I'm sure people did that. Like,
I mean, like after he was caught and like looking at him in his cell and just being like, you're kind of a weirdo, aren't you?
I'm sure you got called that.
Probably, I guess. I mean, do you think like someone in prison went up to Jeffrey Dahmer and was just like, huh, you're really an oddball, ain't you?
Probably. Yeah, I do think so. Yeah, probably.
Okay, well, fine. Fuck my point. It wasn't real anyway. After our exposition dump, Ms. Voorhees starts talking in the voice of her dead son, Jason, who is obviously the name more synonymous with this franchise. But I do like Pamela once she's revealed. Like, she is scary, like scary grandma. Like, hell yeah. I want more of those in my horror movies. But she's just all, kill her, mommy. Kill her. So it seems like she has a little bit of a split personality thing going on right now.
Yeah.
But don't worry. both personalities are murderous. So,
Yes.
hey, here we go. And we just kind of go on a pretty weak chase.
Yeah.
But Alice eventually locks herself into the pantry with a frying pan, and Pamela pulls a Jack Nicholson, and does a whole beat down of the door and sticks her head in the hole.
I was fully expecting her to go, "Here's Pammy."
These movies came out the same year, though.
Oh.
This came out in 1980, and so did The Shining. I don't know the release date, so I don't know which one came out first.
I was like sitting there being like, "Oh, it's a Here's Johnny moment."
Yeah, like this movie was definitely at the bare minimum being filmed when The Shining came out.
Yeah.
I doubt they might have seen The
done
Shining
being
and then
filmed.
done the very first homage to that scene. Or they did it before The Shining did, which is even wilder. Or
they
purely coincidental.
They just did them at the same time.
Exactly. All three of those options are kind of cool.
Yeah.
So there's that at least. But she gets the door open, and Alice just bonks her with a frying pan after a short struggle. And Pam's she's bleeding, so that must mean that she's dead and it's over. And Alice wins the day. So she just kind of walks away and stares at the water. But shocker, she's not dead. Oh my God. And they have another struggle. And then we get the slow-mo beheading of a lifetime.
Yeah. I said, "Damn, she lost her head."
Thank you for just writing what happened. But yeah, so Alice gets the upper hand, gets the machete, and in the choppiest slow-mo you'll ever see, cuts off Miss Voorhees' head. And she casts herself off on a canoe into the water, which is quite an interesting choice. I guess it's because I'll be safe out in the middle of the water.
Right, because if you're in the middle of the water, you're going to see whoever's coming for you, and you can then row away.
I mean, yeah.
So it's a smart choice.
I'm not talking shit. I mean it. That's actually not a bad idea.
It's actually like an idea they should, more people should do this.
Yep. But then we get like the most iconic part of this movie, and that's the ending. And there is some discussion to be had, some theorizing, but basically a rotting young boy, Jason, jumps out of the water and pulls Alice in.
Mm-hmm.
But then she wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah, I was feeling like that was a nightmare or something.
That's what I thought too, until she's like, "Well, what about the boy?" And she was in the water. They did have to get her out of the water. So she did. So the discussion is, when the movie came out, did they intend that to really be Jason or just be like a hallucination / like stinger?
Yeah, because that's what I felt it was. Because I know the series goes different ways with what that Jason is like actually a thing, but it feels
Not
like
only a thing, but he's a fully grown thing.
Yeah. So it feels like this movie. Oh, excuse me. This movie's intention was that there's no haunted spirit thing happening. It's like a split personality thing, taking inspiration from Psycho, but kind of flipping it. And the mother's been the killer the whole time. She has a split personality. And like, even just like the theme, whenever Pam's on the screen, kind of sounds like Psycho, which made me think that was like the way this first movie was initially geared. And then they were like, "Oh fuck, we want to make a sequel." And then they were like, "Oh no, that was real Jason. That was Jason.
But then the problem with that is the Jason in this movie is still a child.
It still is not real Jason still.
Yeah, because in the sequels he's fully grown, but it's never explained. But the thing is, also in the sequels, the like first couple sequels,
Mhm.
he's not a zombie yet. He's not like a rotting corpse. He's just a mountain man, basically.
So I'm going to go with the intent of this movie is that that's like a hallucination, a nightmare or something, that's not Jason.
Like maybe even like a premonition of things to
Yes.
come.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
Because it feels like this movie drew its inspiration from Psycho, especially because of that music cue I heard.
The music is similar, is definitely inspired, and definitely the
because it's supposed to switch.
the mommy issues theme.
It's supposed to switch it. So
Yes.
it's supposed to be, instead of the son becoming the split, getting the split personality with his mother, and his mother's the killer, but he also has murderous intentions, right? The flip is his mother has a split personality that's now her son, because of the trauma and whatever, and that split personality is murderous. So like it's supposed to be taking Psycho and like turning it on its head. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? No Chick-fil-A sauce? What were you even going to say?
Can you imagine like sitting in front of people and being like, guys, I have the greatest idea for a horror movie. We're going to take Psycho and we're going to flip it. And they're going to be expecting...
Okay, well, what's this movie going to feel like? A shittier Halloween.
We're going to take every single popular horror movie to this point and we're going to make it a movie.
And we're going to add more blood, which means it's scarier.
And this is what the conversation sounded like when they pitched Scream, but they actually did a good job with those. So
I love Scream.
I love Scream.
But yeah, that's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I think I've made it pretty clear that I don't hate this movie. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
For me, it's just not my thing. I love the slasher genre, and this is like the pinnacle. Like this series is like the pinnacle of the slasher genre. And I just have never been able to vibe with it. I just find it the least inspired, the least creative. As the series goes on, the movies become about the kills, and the kills in the Friday the 13th movie are very creative. They're very wild and kind of stupid in a lot of ways. But this movie doesn't really have that. I love actress name Betsy Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
She does a great job as Mrs. Voorhees, and she's you know they shilled out the big bucks when she has top billing and she's only in the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
But all in all, honestly, what I'm about to say is there's probably people who are going to be like, oh yeah, or they're going to think I'm the devil. I prefer the remake. I think the remake of Friday the 13th is a lot better.
Ooh.
It's actually really cool. The remake is essentially, instead of a remake of this movie is the title sequence.
Oh.
Like a montage of new versions of those scenes. And then the movie itself is essentially the first 4 Friday movies combined into one story.
Oh.
And it's a bit gratuitous, especially like if you thought this movie was horny. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm sure.
But that's what Friday the 13th is. It's a bunch of sex, stupid teenagers, and gruesome kills, and Jason. But this movie doesn't have Jason. It does, but you know what I mean. And I wish I could get more from it personally because I know it's important, but it's just not my thing. I love the Friday the 13th game, though. Please fix it and give it support. Whoever would even take over that game.
Mm-hmm. So, then how many dead Kevin Bacons would you give?
Dead Kevin Bacons.
Would you give this movie?
Honestly, this is a 6 dead Kevin Bacons out of 10 for me.
Okay. I enjoyed the watch. It was enjoyable. I obviously had more things to say about this than the last episode we did. So, but I think I'm at like a 7 out of 10. Dead Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacons. So,
dead Kevin Bacons. We have to figure out our rating system so it's not always dead blank.
Okay, but that was like the best thing for this movie.
What about how many death curses?
That's lame.
I'm saying it in my head like death curse. So it makes it less lame. Well, we'll see what happens next week when we on the fly come up with our ranking. Maybe we won't do dead blank, but it had to be Kevin Bacon in some way.
It had to be.
Even though I wanted some representation for my man Ralph, but that's fine.
Sorry.
So, before we finish up, we do have our weekly question and answer from the Discord.
Ooh.
If you would like to submit all of your horror questions to the show, go ahead and join us at discord.gg/Jumperscape. Woo!
And if you don't, definitely participate because we get a lot of different questions, but at the moment, potassium is just... Whoa. Sorry, lots of noise in my ears.
I just opened Opera GX. If that came through on the recording, whoopsie.
Right now, it's mainly potassium. So if you want to ask more questions than potassium already has, get in that Q&A, man.
Get in that Q&A. And
hey, show them how to ask a good question.
These guys are asking good questions, and they're honestly all just Halo fans who have a couple horror questions pop in their brain. So I want to get the real deep stuff from you guys.
The nitty gritty.
The nitty gritty. Well, that makes it sound like I don't like the questions we're getting. I do.
I like
don't get me wrong.
No, they're great.
There's been some of them are about things I've not consumed yet. Almost all of them are about things Ashton hasn't consumed yet. Yep. But that's to be expected. But hey, that's okay. But Lactating Gator wants to know, have either of you read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream? If so, do you want a movie adaptation? No. But it's on my list. I have like a little short list of like horror literary works that I want to read. And that is one of them. And as far as adaptations go, I am someone who thinks any good story is deserving of an adaptation. I don't like the idea of gatekeeping a story behind a book because I know that in today's attention deficit era, it's hard for some people to just sit down and read a book. I know almost every time the book is better, but I love seeing things get adapted to screen, whether it's a good adaptation, a bad adaptation. For me, just seeing it happen is always cool. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree with me?
I mean, as a person who read every young adult novel that ever became a movie, that one's rough. The adaptation, just sometimes I really wish they just didn't do it. But
those young adult stories you speak of would not be nearly the phenomenon they are without their film adaptations. That's a fact. You can't dispute that.
I think
they'd still probably be popular. Obviously, that's why they got adaptations. But film
Divergent would have
always gets things to a wider audience.
Divergent would have been about the same.
Well, I mean, that's because those movies didn't really do well either.
Yeah, because they were shitty movies.
Yeah, I was more talking about like Hunger Games and like.
You're talking about better adaptations.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the bad adaptations. That's why I wish they weren't even made.
I'm just saying I still prefer the story to have a shot as an adaptation than not at all, because you don't know if it's going to be a bad adaptation until it happens. And if it's a bad adaptation, oh well, you still have the book. Like,
yeah, but then your perception of the book is ruined.
No. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me put it this way. Halo has one of the worst adaptations I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't affect how I enjoy the games.
Yeah, but the games, you see everything. You still have like the vision of what Halo looks like in the game. Whereas for me, all of the story is in my head.
Yeah.
For what everyone looks like, what people sound like, what the cities look like, what everything is like. So then when the adaptation comes out and it's bad, and this person is nothing like their character in the book, this person doesn't sound, then my head gets cluttered with two different versions of a person.
I get that, but I could make the argument that makes it even worse for Halo, because everyone knows what these characters are
no,
supposed
it just
to look
makes
like,
it just
what
makes
this is supposed to look like, what this is supposed to sound like, what this story is supposed to be like.
Right, no, I'm saying that doesn't make it worse for you to continue to play Halo. The adaptation's still bad. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about how bad the adaptation is. I'm saying you can't going back and rereading a book after you've seen a bad adaptation, it ruins your experience of the book. Whereas going back and playing Halo after you've seen the bad adaptation does not ruin your perception of Halo.
Because basically you're losing your perception of the version of that story, because you're seeing whatever the adaptation put out, because your brain is just going to default to that.
Yes.
No matter how hard you try.
Yes.
Okay, I get that. I get that, but I feel like at the same time, I personally just feel like the risk is worth it. And also with how things work, it makes too much goddamn money.
Fair. All right. Next question.
Do you consider Scary Movie a horror movie or a comedy? It's a comedy. It's not a horror movie.
It's a comedy.
It's
the first one particularly not a great comedy.
No. Their humor is very dated. That was from Jeremy, by the way. Thank you, Jeremy. Mo Maggot Yalin asks, is there anything that makes you so uncomfortable you can't watch it? And for Ash, as a newer horror experiencer, do you feel drained after watching this genre without a break? We're getting a little philosophical, a little interpersonal.
Oh. Well, for the first question, makes me so uncomfortable I can't watch it. It's like I can do most like gruesome things. If like I know there's a Saw movie where there's just a like fucking pit of needles. I have a terrifying fear of needles. Oh, I'm thinking about it. Oh no. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to watch that.
Way to go. She's all tensed up now.
The fight or flight is kicked in.
For me, okay, I'm gonna go the like cringe or wince kind of direction like you, and I was thinking more in my brain like some types of psychological horror can kind of mess me up a little bit for like a day. You know what I mean? But for me, it's bones breaking and hand trauma. Whenever someone breaks a leg or breaks an arm, and it's especially if it's a compound break and like the bone sticks through or something, I literally like launch my eyes away from the screen. I hate that stuff. Or if someone gets their hand like stabbed, broken, like smushed, which is like a thing now, like in modern horror, because people know like it's a pretty normal thing for people to hate seeing.
Mm-hmm.
That is also one thing that always messes me up. But do you feel drained?
So honestly, horror is such a diverse genre. Every time we sit down to watch a movie, it's not like I'm watching the same kind of movie over and over again. Like, we're not only watching slashers, we're not only watching possession, we're not only so like every movie has a different kind of horror. And also when James and I sit down to watch these movies, I literally work and have school every other day of the week. This is my only day off. So it's honestly, I've like associated horror movies with a relief at this point. Like, it's like, how nice it is to sit down. Should I watch the new Omen movie? Like, it's not, I know that's not like a normal reaction, but I now associate horror movies with kind of like relaxing. So yeah, no, I'm not getting like burnt out on horror movies. I'm actually, it's a diverse enough genre that we're watching a very different kind of movie, normally a very different kind of movie week to week, so it doesn't feel like I'm just like continuously just watching the same stuff. But yeah.
Well, we got. I'm counting that as 2 questions because it was 2 questions. They were just together. I didn't know until I marked them as answered. But Austin the False God asks, would you guys ever run a Call of Cthulhu game? I'm pretty sure that's a party game.
Oh,
like a card or something like Exploding Kittens. I'm pretty sure.
That sounds fantastic.
The answer is most definitely when we have a video set up.
Yeah.
I would love to do stuff like that, but obviously we tried it for Monopoly on the library and it went fine, but it just wasn't the best. We're waiting till we have a new space and a camera, obviously, that has better than phone quality. But we would love to do like board games and probably more interactive, more video friendly stuff. But just only time will tell. But yeah, thank you once again. If you would like to submit your questions for the Q&A, you can just go on over to discord.gg/Jumperscape and you can join our community. We're fast approaching 500. I'm hoping by the time you guys hear this, we do have 500 members and you'll just be able to actually search us up on Discord and you can find us that way as well. But yeah, if you would like to support us as well, you can go to patreon.com/ that's important, Jumperscape. And, you know, just a quick shout out to, of course, our patrons, Jacob Adlam, Potassium, Lactating Snake Nipples, Dark Salad 42, Dick Hammerbush, pause for Connor, Hounds of Meath, It's Default 456, Lactating Spartan 1337, Lactating Gator, Mr. Shifter, James Zealot, Seth Rutherford, Cool Blaze, Kyle Hooley, Mo Maggot Yellen, Spartan Habuko G156, Vic Slipstream 19, Vermin, Addy, Connor Clark, Dylan, Garrus Vicarian, Lactating Milk MT, Mass the Merc 664, Perplexed Panic, Preacher, Lactation of Mercy, Brennan Pfeiffer, Sky Cairo, Donald Atwood, Eliza, JX O'Malley, Keith G077, Oddball here, Aussie ODST, Damian Groth, Dr. Lactator, Drew Ledbetter, Hayden Hamilton, Lactating Saying Healy Hooves, Lactating Snake Nipples again, Pity 104, Prophet of Tom Cruise, The Goob, Throne of Lactating Woe, Tyler Neal, Wraith, X3tian, It's Carrie, Keegan, Shane, could you move that cord, please? Quick story. We're recording. This is on a previous library episode. When Austin was reading through these, he did it so masterfully. He just goes, it's Kari, Keegan, Shane, could you move that cord, please? And Shane starts going. He did not realize that it was a patron name. It was so good. But the thing is, it wasn't just him. I also was looking like, what chord does he need to move?
That's a fantastic.
Oh,
that's
it was
a fantastic
beautiful,
joke.
Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, Tyru88 and warm applesauce, aka Ungoy Food Nipple.
Woo.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. By the way, you can also rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Helps the show a ton. It's the least you can do, right? I'm kidding. Or if you would like to support us more directly, you can also go to ko-fi/Jumperscape. But thank you so much for watching. We're a little tired here. Thank you so much for listening to Room 237.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this evening, stranger. If you enjoyed your time with us, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/Jumperscape or join the community at discord.gg/Jumperscape. We thank you for your listenership and hope you enjoyed.